Celebrations, the first of 3 theatrical interpretations of Scotland's past.
And seed shall be turned into bread, and flax become clothing so bright, and coal will be heat, and fish will be food, by the bond of muscle and bone, by the risk of lung and of life, by the quickness of the eye, by the skill, by the will of those who work.
My name is Percy Gimlet. I'm a Tory from the south. I see it's going to be that sort of evening, is it? And I've been sent to sort out Scotland with my Millie Minister's mouth. I'm just as cute as Kenneth Clark and can answer every question with a blend of Nicholas Ridley's tact, Cecil Parkinson's discretion. I'm not as suave as Heseltine. I haven't had my hair done. I'm not wearing homemade tartan trews, so I can't be Nicholas Fairbairn. You see, the Arts Council wanted from the start some balance to this story. So they've sent for me to play the part of a composite British Tory. I looked it up in the core curriculum, History of the Scots, and found you didn't have any. Well, not an awful lot. So here's my official version. It won't take long by jingo. You'll be out of here in half an hour, and you'll probably catch the bingo. It's post-Culloden, 1745. You Scotch have made some losses. But here's the swells who are doing well, the landlords and the bosses.
Hello, Percy! We love the Highlands, the whiskey, the ale.
The quaint Hieland folk. Excuse me.
Oh, shut up!
The many proud chieftains who rose up for Charlie are penniless, hungry, their clanland forfeit. But the patriot few who chose England so wisely.
Oh, yes, rather.
Yes. Grow rich, live in Edinburgh, Paris, or Dorset.
But we love the Highlands. I own a castle, 500,000 acres.
I own an estate that's louping with deer.
I own thousands of loyal wee clansmen.
Do you go out there often?
Yes, once a year.
Ochon, ochon.
Oh, on we go south. Leave the Highlands, the Isles, and go back once a year.
To watch hangings.
Collect rent.
Cash.
And let us go south for just 200 miles.
For culture.
Of course.
For civil content.
Here in Kirkcaldy, old Adams the Builder's 3 sons have designs to rise o'er their station, and young Adam Smith is about to discover the secrets that made up
The wealth of the nations.
Yes, but it's there, all the force that enlightenment shines, not sunshine on Leith, but the dawn of an age. David Hume looks afresh at our morals and finds that it's man, not the Lord, who must write on the page.
Pass me the pen.
In all Ambrose salons, the word is
Improvement.
improve our old city, build a new town.
Oh, bravo, bravo.
Improve how we speak.
How we dress.
Our department.
Improve our old roads, tear our old fashions down. Now the highwayman roamed from Falkirk to Sanquhar.
How thrilling.
And shots even then was the OK Canal. So let's leave noble Embro
Home of the banker.
and cross to the west by the Forth Clyde Canal. Who'd like a wee jammy, huh?
Oh, this is lovely.
Oh, the shop of that. Lunchable.
What's this heaving to?
Why, historic old Glasgow, with its wide, gracious streets.
It's elegant squares.
And it's sleeked wee merchant.
Who won't let the grass grow under their booties who don't put on airs? Heaving too nicely. Yeah. They're building a port here, a grand entrepot for import and export to the wide open west. And Glasgow will flourish. Like a cock, it will crow. For Glasgow will know that Glasgow is best. In fact, it smirks better.
Rejoice we in our dignity. Rejoice we in our riches. Riches and riches. Praise we the Lord for sanctity. Praise we the Lord for business. Business. As little lambs to frisk and play, and soon get sewed and knifed and eaten. So our little children play for a day, and soon get beaten. Soon get beaten. Soon get beaten.
Of the land, and ours is the corn and the coal and the pasture, and we are the owners of the cash that buys at lesser,
Buys at lesser,
sells at greater.
sells at greater, buys at lesser, sells at greater, buys at lesser, sells at
Now, the story you have come for, and that we came here to show, is not on the core curriculum, but it's one you ought to know. Not tales of kings or princes, of the rich and the aristocratic, but of your great-great-granny's bunions and your granddad's bad rheumatics. How the working folk of Scotland had to fight for life and health against damp, disease and hunger, against their master's power and wealth.
And flax shall be spun into thread,
and seed shall be turned into corn,
and linen to cloth,
and corn into bread. By the burn of muscle and bone, by the risk of long and of life, by the quickness of the eye, by the skill, by the will of those who are. And co shall be done from the earth,
and boats shall set out on the sea.
and turned into flame,
and flame into power. By the burn of muscle and bone, by the risk of long and of life, by the quickness of the eye, by the skill, by the will of those who are.
Every time they tried to rise, the might of the British state was used by those who made it to turn hope into defeat. But still they rose, were rising still, and gained more than we lost. They fought and died for you and me. We'll show you what it cost. Their culture was a rich one too. They built this culture city, and what they made was more than ships, cost more than Pavarotti. The year is 1769. We'll show bits of their story, how they fought to right their wrongs, their misery, and their glory. We'll start with how it all began, this industrial revolution. Man's inhumanity to man, and 1 billion tons of chemical pollution.
By jings, I think I've got it. You see, I knew I was onto something, but I couldn't quite figure it out. And it was worrying me as I went for a walk across Glasgow Green.
Now, here's the man who started all the trouble. James Watt, an engineer.
See, I knew there was power in steam. Well, I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, you've seen your kettle boiling, missus, haven't you? Exactly. But nobody knew how to make it work. To do the work for us, I mean. But I was halfway across the green when I suddenly realised what had been staring me in the face all these months. You see, the trouble with the steam engines we'd been using up to now was that they used too much heat. Only the coal owners could afford to run them. See, let me explain. A steam engine drives a beam above it by filling a cylinder with steam, which in turn drives a piston up, then fires in a jet of cold water to cool the steam down and turn it back into water again, thereby creating a vacuum, which in turn sucks the piston back down again. You with me? Steam up, squirt, vacuum piston down, up and down goes the beam driving the shaft. The problem was, as I'm sure you are about to tell me, exactly, our old pal heat again. You see, first the cylinder got very, very hot, then very, very cold, then very, very hot again, thereby using an enormous amount of fuel to heat it up each time. Well, all that I did was to put another cylinder alongside, into which the steam would rush to be condensed, and called it a condenser. And by jings, what do you think? The original cylinder was left nice and hot. It worked, and steam power was now very cheap, and every cotton spinner, mill owner, and factory in the land could have cheap power. And yours truly was talking merchant city. Oh, wonder of wonders, science takes a leap. Improvements, improvements. Those steam machines will turn the wheels, and labor will be cheap. Take it away, boys.
Those steam machines will turn the wheels, so labor will be cheap. Have you heard about cotton gin that's driven by steam? It's faster than 1,000 men, it's a spinning machine. Wonder of wonders, science takes a lead. Improvements, improvements. Now cotton will be quick to make, so cotton will be cheap.
Now cotton will be quick to make, so cotton will be cheap.
Have you heard about the weaving loom that's driven by steam? It beats 1,000 weavers, it's a weaving machine. Wonder of wonders, science takes a lead. Improvements, improvements. Now cloth can be fast woven, so clothing will be cheap.
Now cloth can be fast woven, so clothing will be cheap.
So leave your fields and fishing boats and join the factory. Your wife and wains can come along just like a nursery. Wonder of wonders, science takes a lead. Improvements, improvements. When there's lots and lots of labor, then labor will be cheap.
When there's lots and lots of labor, then labor will be cheap. With steam machines and labor cheap, we'll make a tidy peace.
Oh yes, they'll make a great big heap. They'll make a great big heap. They love it, they'll make a great big heap. Hallelujah, they'll make a great big heap.
Throughout the 1770s and 1780s, a thin trickle of people wandered into the towns from the fields, small workshops, the crofts and the fishing ports, looking for work in the new manufactories. They found a world that very few human beings had to endure ever before in the whole of history.
world's ill divided, them that work the hardest, but I we least provided. But I'm unquite contented, dark days are fine. There's nae much pleasure living off the 10 and 9.
The gardener's looking worried for the flax are in the stirret. Jessie Brody's getting married in the Marshall Hall we hear. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. The helper and the keeper here went in the tune last night to buy a wee bit present just to mock her Emil Brecht. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. They bought a china tasset and a chanty for sorts, a bonny coloured carpet, aye, and a kettle and a pot. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. The spinners, they're all singing, the shifters dancing gay, the gaffer's standing watching, but there's nothing he can do. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. Here's a health unto you lassies standing at your spinning frame. May your eye be full and plenty and your wee bit hame. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. Hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, hurrah, my daddy-o, Jessie's getting married-o. Yeah.
Oh, guilty sinners, come hear the word of the Lord. Lewdness, wantonness, lechery, lasciviousness. Are these the reasons God made you, placed you in this vale of tears, gave you gainful employment? No, brethren, no. Forgo fornication, forgo the powerful feelings of the flesh, and fear the Lord.
The law of the land has the force of God upon it, for it is greater than any mortal man. The law, which is designed to protect property and the landed interest and the needs of the rich and powerful, applies equally, without bias, to all men. Therefore, all men must obey the law.
The provosts, the town guards, and the volunteers of Scotland are charged with maintaining peace and order in the streets, and will carry out their duty in a firm, determined, and God-fearing manner.
I have very little to say. I and my men are here with musket, sword, and pistol. We are trained to combat civil disturbance, and will do so.
Look, we mustn't be afraid. They're trying to take away our jobs and replace them with machines. Now it's time we stood up for each other.
Aye. Obey thy master in all things, for the Lord has seen fit to place him above thee.
He's right, you know. We can't just let this happen.
Obey the law. Do not steal for your master, and above all, do not combine to withhold your labour.
Holding our labour's the only weapon we've got.
The provost of every town in Scotland is charged with instilling fear and respect into the minds of the townspeople, with reporting on all rebellious gatherings and seditious speeches, and with putting down with vigour all civil disturbance, commotion, and riot.
We in the military will carry out our duty when called upon. Until such time, we will make a pleasing piece of pageantry as we march and drill and beat tattoo.
Fear and respect.
Fear and respect.
Fear and respect.
I'm not getting back in there. Not for that money. I say we stay out and strike.
Yes.
In 1787, the weavers of Glasgow decided they'd had enough. They planned to make a combination, or strike organisation, to demand higher rates of pay. They held a huge meeting on Glasgow Green, July 1787.
Fellow weavers, we have been very patient. We formed committees to meet with our masters, to receive their ultimatums. But all our patient negotiation has proved fruitless. We must refuse to work for our masters until they're forced to listen to us.
Aye, right. Aye, but we're not here, are we? I mean, we have no properly combined. There are those that are ready to go on working. What about them?
Nay bother. Tag the webs out the looms, then they can't work.
We're all together here to sit and to crack. We're glasses in our hands and our work upon our back. And there's no work among the mac, and neither mend or mac.
Get the wested for the one, for the weavers. Get the wested for the weavers. What would you do? You and the hay-clave maid or woo. You and the hay-cut, neither black nor blue. Get the wested for the one, for the weavers.
There's your Rex and your Slaters, ecclesiasts and all, your doctors and your ministers, and them that they by law, our friends in South America, though them we never saw, but we can't they were the one
For the weavers, if it wasn't for the weavers, what would you do? You and the hay-clave maid or woo. You and the hay-cut, neither black nor blue. Get the wested for the one, for the weavers.
You have disturbed the peace of Glasgow. You must disperse immediately, or I shall order my men to fire.
There's no need for that. All we want to do is negotiate.
Take aim. In your own time, fire!
Three weavers were shot dead in the streets of Glasgow. 3 died later from their wounds. But the weavers had started something that would change the face of Scotland.
I'm a weaver, a Carlton weaver. I'm a rash and a ready blade. I've got silver in my pouches. I'll gang and follow the roving trade. Oh, whiskey, whiskey, Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. As I come in by Glasgow City, Nancy whiskey, a chance to smell. I get in, sat down beside her for 7 long years. I loved her well. The more I kissed her, the more I loved her. The more I kissed her, the more she smiled. I forgot my mother's teaching. Oh, Nancy soon had me beguiled. Oh, whiskey, whiskey, Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. I woke up early in the morning to slake my drouth. It was my need. I tried to rise, but I was not able, for Nancy had me by the heat. Oh, whiskey, whiskey, Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Come all you weavers, ye cotton weavers. Come all you weavers, where'er ye be, beware of a whiskey, Nancy whiskey. She'll ruin you as she ruined me. Oh, whiskey, whiskey, Nancy whiskey. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh. Whiskey, whiskey, Nancy, oh.
Tom Paine. Some of you may remember me as a friend of the recent revolution in America. I stand before you now representing a great movement much nearer to hand. Our brothers and sisters in France have at last risen up to throw over the yoke which has for so long oppressed them.
I, Olympe de Gouges, say to you that the law must express the will of all, women as well as men. So far, I have put forward 100 propositions to our revolutionary government. But I am a woman, so no one pays any attention. Oh, man, are you capable of justice? By what sovereign right do you oppress woman? This inequality of the sexes is against all the laws of nature. The sex, superior in beauty as in its courage, recognizes and declares the following rights of woman, the female citizen. We demand equal rights with men before the law, in civic matters, in taxation and ownership of property, equality in education and employment, and to end our dependence on the whims of men. The institution of marriage, the tomb of trust and love, must be reformed.
The French have taken their destiny in their own hands. They have taken their country in their own hands. So too can you. The purpose of all politics is the preservation of the inalienable rights of man. And these rights are liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. We have declared war on France. France is our enemy. Supporters of the French are traitors.
When Louis was the King of France before the Revolution,
Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe.
And then he got his head chopped off and it spoiled his constitution.
Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Away, haul away, we're bound for better weather. Away, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe.
Ungodly,
Unlawful,
seditious,
They will be hanged.
And so, the weavers went back to their work. Go on, get back to your work. You get your shot in about 28 years' time. And so, the weavers went back to their work. But, do you think that could be the end of it? Nah. After the French had shown how a people could rise up and band together and overthrow even an absolute monarch, nothing could ever be the same again. The people of Scotland had seen and heard. And, as the old saying goes, you hear and you forget. You see and you remember. You do and you understand. It would take a wee while, but sooner or later, the working people of Scotland would have to do.
I'm George Mealmaker. I'm a weaver, and I come from Dundee. But I am not a member of the Dundee Whig Club, nor do I find our king an object of adoration. I'm a working man, and I'm the Dundee organiser of the Friends of the People. Now, we and the Friends supported the principles of the French Revolution, whether the king got his head cut off or no. It was the principles that mattered. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Aye. And a vote for every man and every woman, and an end to the power of the aristocracy, and the landowner, and the corrupt Scottish politicians. To hell with a lot of them.
For advocating that, the leaders of the Friends of the People were transported to Botany Bay, and that was the end of it. Or was it?
Those of us that were left behind held a few secret protest meetings. But what good's a protest if it's a secret? No good. But over in Ireland at this time, they had the right idea. They formed an excellent society called the United Irishmen. And they wanted nothing less than a Republic of Ireland set up according to Tom Paine's rights of man. And Mr. Wolfe Tone got it right when he said, if the men of property will not support us, they must fall. We will support ourselves by the aid of that numerous and respectable class, the men of the community, the men of no property. Well, that was good enough for me. So we secretly set up the United Scotsmen. But as we were disposed to revolution, we had to be very careful. So we devised a greeting, I love light, and a reply, I hate light. So we'd know each other in the dark. Bright, eh? And of course, we took an oath.
In the awful presence of God, I do declare that neither
against any member of this or any similar society.
Against any member of this or any similar society.
Give evidence. To inform or give evidence against any member of this or any similar society. Or any similar society. Do voluntarily declare.
In order to obtain adequate representation of all the people of Scotland.
Be it known that whereas His Most Excellent Britannic Majesty's Government is at war with the rebels now ruling France, he hereby orders that the names of all young men between the ages of 17 and 23 in every town, city and parish be written out, and a ballot held to draw the names of those who will be required to be conscripted into the army to perform such duties as may be necessary for the protection of His Majesty's kingdom.
No!
No! No!
We set up a provisional government of the people of Scotland. And when Angus Cameron, a Gaelic speaker from Perthshire, got on his horse and gave the word, 16,000 people marched behind him. Well, there were riots all over Scotland. You see, we didn't want to fight with the French. We wanted to invite them over here, as the Welsh and the Irish had done. And when they tried to conscript the collier lads and the salters of Tranent, they gave them this answer.
If we can be overpowered and dragged from our parents to be made soldiers of, you can infer from this what trust can be reposed in us if ever we are called upon to disperse our fellow countrymen or to oppose a foreign foe.
They killed 11 people at Tranent. Angus Cameron's great army was defeated, and the United Scotsmen declared outlaws. I myself was, of course, arrested and sent to Australia for 14 years for my trouble. And sad to relate, I never lived long enough to come back.
And so, that was the end of it. Nah. Even though the government in Westminster seemed all-powerful and ruthless and unyielding, the spirit of the French Revolution could not just die out or go away. True, many went off to fight the French in the wars against Napoleon, but those who came back from the glorious Battle of Waterloo found there was not so much demand for corn, cloth, or coal, or even for fish. The men who had been forcibly conscripted away from their work found there was precious little work to come back to.
My man was a fisherman until they took him. Now he's come home and there's no boat for him. Our hero of Waterloo is a vagabond. We sleep in the ditch. They're passing laws against us, against vagabonds.
I'm a collier. Now they don't need our coal. We're no longer slaves, of course. 18 years ago, they very kindly set us free. Free to roam the highways as beggars.
I'm a Carlton weaver. We're no happy. All around Glasgow, up and down the Clyde, we're forming a subscription society. So those with work can help those without. And so we can be organised and band together tight when the time comes.
All over the west of Scotland, the radicals, mostly weavers but with support from every other trading organisation, prepared quite openly for an uprising. Hundreds learned to march and fire at all hours of the day in Paisley, Johnson, Straven, on Toll Cross and Glasgow Green, and in the very centre of Ayr, they held a meeting.
William Adams Shoemaker, delegate to this meeting from the town of Ayr.
I am Alexander Boswell of Auchinleck, commander of the Ayrshire Yeomanry, Vice Lord Lieutenant of the county, and Tory MP for Plympton in Devon.
We're gathered here together from every town and village in Ayrshire. For everywhere we have the same grievance, and everywhere the same poverty.
My men have their swords unsheathed. All we need is the opportunity, and we shall ride up to our bridle reins in radical blood.
And we know how this situation has come about. I'll say no more. And now we are to be taxed to pay off the debts of this war that we neither wanted nor saw any need for. And there are ways that we can help ourselves through this time of difficulty and sorrow. Let us consider them silently.
This man, Adam, is a fit subject for a hanging. Come, my little radicals, let's see your fires. Where are your spirits? We're only looking for one stone, one pebble, one button. Well, where are you then?
Now let us go quietly to our homes and take care to provoke no onslaught. For we have thought our thoughts and must now carry them home to our towns and villages and compare them with the thoughts of our brothers and sisters. Away you go now, and quietly.
They went, carefully, to all the corners, and in every part of the west of Scotland, thoughts were being thought, and words spoken. A massive meeting was planned for Glasgow's Trades Hall, but suddenly the hall was busy, and so was every other venue in the city. So it was finally held in a field behind a big house on what is now called Alexandra Parade. 40,000 people turned out, knowing the dangers. The 42nd Regiment stood to arms in the Gallagate with 20 rounds in their pouches. And several squadrons of dragoons waited round the corner with sabres drawn. There were brave men and women who attended that meeting, and even braver people who got up to speak. William Lang, radical printer, whom the authorities had already arrested for imaginary crimes, got up to read the petition to the House of Commons.
And this is it, and here is what it said. The distress which presses with great severity upon the labouring classes is unparalleled in the annals of this country. It is a gross insult to the common sense of the nation to be told that all our distresses have been caused by a sudden transition from war to peace, while they are so obviously the natural consequences of that unnecessary, ruinous and bloody war. A war which has cost the people of this country over £1,000 million. A war which had its commencement in injustice, its continuation in folly, and its eventual end in tyranny. And now, to crown it all, our ministers call, in a time of peace, for a standing army of over 150,000 men, employed abroad for the purposes of keeping on the throne of France a family obnoxious to the people of that nation. Aye, and here at home, for purposes highly dangerous to our rights and liberties. And I should know what I'm talking about, for I've been hunted for years for daring to print a newspaper that telled the honest truth. No, my friends, no, please. Please, no, here we come to the crux of this petition. It is the decided conviction of your petitioners that the cause of all the evils which the country now suffers lies in the defective and corrupt state of the representation of the people in Parliament. There is no other way of satisfying the minds of the people than by putting an end to the present system and restoring to the people, not as a favour, but as their right, their undoubted privilege, that of freely, equally and annually electing their own representatives to Parliament.
In 1819, another crowd, just like this one, met in St. Peter's Fields in Manchester to hear speeches on the reform of Parliament. There were 80,000 of them. The yeomanry, a bunch of local vigilantes, attacked them, wounding over 400 and killing 12 men and women. It was known as the Massacre of Peterloo, and it was meant to teach the radicals a lesson. Lord Castlereagh, the Tory Prime Minister, stopped political meetings, imprisoned political opponents without trial, and tried to curtail the freedom of the press.
But we're knocking at the door, knocking at the door, and a penny in the poor man's hat will no longer do. They'd better open wide and let us come inside. for the knocking's nearly over and the door's coming through. But we're knocking at the door, knocking at the door, and a penny in the poor man's hat will no longer do. They'd better open wide and let us come inside, for the knocking's nearly over and the door's coming through.
Now in Paisley and in Glasgow, in Johnson and in Ayr, when their work is done, they've other work to do. In their hundreds and their thousands, bands of citizens prepare for a battle that they fought for me and you.
No garden railings are our swords, pitchforks are our pikes. We'll march and drill like soldiers,
Show them we got what it takes. And when they send in their cannon, their huzzahs and their dragoons, then we'll stand together till we see it through. Towards the end of 1819, through the beginning of 1820, preparations for an uprising intensified. Pikes were on sale, gunpowder at 3p a pound, blacksmiths and carpenters' shops taken over to prepare weapons, primitive muskets and things called clegs, made like darts to be thrown at the horses. In September 1819, a huge meeting was held in Paisley, demanding a proper share in the legislation of Scotland.
Sooner shall the loch wash Ben Lomond from its elevated site, and we shall be silent. Sooner shall the waves which wash our western shores cease to roll, than we shall forgo our right of assembling together.
The authorities were not dismayed.
They seem quite well organized.
Ah, don't worry. They're not properly armed.
We'll crush them with the utmost severity.
I am of the opinion that this business will end to our advantage if we allow, indeed encourage, this agitation to proceed. We shall see clearly who the leaders are and have them executed for high treason within the month.
I believe we are kept well informed of their doings.
Oh, well informed? We have 4 of their provisional government in our pay. Our man Richmond is practically leading them.
Ah, Richmond. Get your man King to call a meeting of the organizing committee in Glasgow. Tell him all he has to do is to let you know the address, and then leave by 9 p.m.
The meeting will be in Marshall's house, the Gallowgate, on March 21st.
Marshall's house. The Gallowgate.
March the 21st.
Is this not exciting? I feel as if I'm in one of Mr. Walter Scott's novels of romantic adventure.
Now then, gentlemen, the business of the meeting in Straven. The banners proposed are to read, Liberty our object, reason our guide.
Aye.
The one with William Wallace on it to read, like our ancestors, we will support our liberty and laws.
Aye.
I beg to be excused. I have business I must attend to in Anderston.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. King. It was agreed when we left this place, we left together.
I'm sorry, but if I'm not at my cousin's house, I'll be hard put to explain where I've been.
Aye, where you go, John? Oh, but John, mind how you go. Now then, the one with the Scotch thistle and the Irish harp to read, may our union be strong.
Union?
Eh?
Will they not think that union means with England?
No. No, when they see the 2 bloody great battle axes on the front, they'll know.
Your entire committee is under arrest.
King, you traitor!
Another boatload for Botany Bay.
Richmond, I want you to call an armed uprising for April the 3rd.
Mr. Finlay, sir, I'm against this violence.
Believe me, this is the only way to put an end to it. Call the uprising, get leaflets printed, ordering it, distribute them far and wide, then arrest the printer. Go. Richmond, you have served the cause of peace and moderation well.
That's all I ask, sir.
Now in Paisley and in Glasgow, in Johnson and in Ayr, the word to rise was spreading far and wide. In their hundreds and their thousands, bands of citizens prepare for a battle just to please the other side. They were shot and slashed and clubbed to death
by men prepared and strong. They laughed out as they cut them through. Each step they took went wrong, and when they set off for Cannon, at Bonnymuir they died, and the few were left just turned away and cried.
People who answered Richmond's call were duped, trapped, captured, and if they were lucky, transported. 3 were made an example of. They were hanged. Wilson here in Glasgow, and Baird and Hardy in Stirling.
It is no dishonour to die for my distressed, wronged, suffering and insulted country. Though we were outwitted and betrayed, I die firm to the cause in which I embarked. I trust that the blood shed today will waken my fellow countrymen from that lethargy which has so overclouded them. Remember, the cause we champion will in the end prevail.
I am not afraid to confront my Maker. What I have done was in the cause of truth and justice. I die a martyr to that cause.
And so, that was the end of it. Nah, it kept them quiet for a month or two. Like all these things, all these movements of liberation, it suffered times of setback. You'll know about that, I suppose.
Their wounds are still hurting as they start once again on that long way.